You fall down a chute and find yourself in an unknown, grotesque world. You are a fish, perhaps swallowed by some massive predatory creature, though it seems not quite right, with machinery and artificial elements mixed in, with an equal amount of blood and flesh. Maybe it's an amalgamation of some kind, created by something even greater than whatever it is that you are trapped in. Either way, there is no escape in sight. A wide free ocean, or a small pond, or even the sight of one, is absent in this prison of a world, as you flop around sideways like a dying fish on land to move around. It is clearly an unnatural and unpleasant space to be in. This is How Fish is Made, a short atmospheric horror game that details your journey through this monstrosity. In the very beginning, you are told that you have to make a choice at the end of your journey, to go up or down, which is the objective of the game. Along the way, you meet many other fishers who share their own opinions or sometimes ask for advice from you regarding this choice as well. Choice is the crucial word here, the primary theme of the game, which is ultimately a test of conviction. The choice in the end only depends on that, the very end, when you make that choice. Whatever decision or thoughts you had before then only serves as dialogue choices that will not log your progress or determine the ending. You may also choose to lie to the other NPFs of your choice, or convince them to join you, or ask them to take the path you didn't want to take. Similar to you, they may or may not take on what you say, as you never find out or see them again after the singular encounter. This brings us to the ending, where going down will give you the sandwich ending, where it is written like an advertisement for Sardines and it thanks you for bringing the fish. Perhaps the one you play as, and any more that you influenced to go down. Going up, on the other hand, will give you the chum ending, becoming a swelling god of no purpose, no direction, no self, a growing mass, a fusion of consciousness. Wait a minute, that doesn't sound very good. Both choices simply end in death. Becoming a clean, neatly presented sandwich looks respectable, but the tone of your death is a consumerist product placement. And more obviously, on the opposite end, while it claims that you are still living and even a god, you have become this putrid, decaying mess that has lost your mind. This is the illusion of choice. It seems that you get to make decisions and be in control, to have the autonomy to go up or down, but the end result is the same. Furthermore, there is no third, fourth, or fifth option. You are trapped in this space and forced to take one of two routes in order to complete the game. But that's not even the crux of the matter. It is the fact that up and down don't entail anything. There is no context given to you at any point of what going either way means. They don't argue for the pros and cons of becoming a sandwich or turning into mush, or even if we assume that they don't know what becomes of them, they don't even mention or discuss where either way leads. Instead, they argue for the arbitrary decision. The important aspect of the game is not a journey to get somewhere or to do something. The choice doesn't lie in whether it is better to, for example, spare a villain's life at the end of the game, or to exact revenge, or even in a restriction, to choose a method to kill the said villain. It is something much less, like which object or NPC you want to interact with, except that that is the end result and there is no more to it. Beyond this choice lies the absurd, This is a game of the absurd. The absurd, or absurdism, is a philosophical concept regarding the idea of existence. More popular branches you might have heard of, which are rather similar, are that of nihilism and existentialism. Nihilism simply states that there is no meaning in existence, that the universe and everything is a result of haphazard spontaneity. Existentialism argues that there is no meaning in existence, but that gives one the opportunity to forge their own meaning in their own existence through the decisions and actions taken in one's life. Absurdism, on the other hand, posits that existence is fundamentally meaningless, and the trying to seek out and the making of one's own meaning is a logical and natural possibility that they might undergo. However, it does not affirm these created meanings, but only observes this struggle while simultaneously being aware of the meaninglessness of existence as the absurd. In summary, it is the struggle despite the recognition that existence is meaningless, which gives it beauty and should be embraced. If I've scared you away, well, my brain hurts too, so let's hop back over to the video game. Very clearly, the game hints at these underlying philosophies at the root of the illusion of choice, regarding the concept of existence. The title of the game is a great summary of this idea: the making of a fish, creation of the identity of what makes up a fish rather than something that is innate, as Sartre famously states. Existence precedes essence. That a fish is simply an animal over billions of years of evolution and universal events that link back to the Big Bang, that is what is given, but then what makes it the fish is the choices that you make, the journey. At the same time, it still doesn't matter because you simply reach an end in your journey when you inevitably die. The end is the same. The ability to choose is confined to everything in this dark place, this indifferent universe. You are never able to truly be free, to be able to determine your meaning for yourself and of the world. But then again, you walk your own path, you talk to the fishes, choose not to talk to them, lie to them, be with them, against them, to go up or down. All these minor differences and choices you make don't give you meaning, but they are the evidence of your desire to try. It is this struggle against the recognized nihility through the optimism found in existentialism that gives rise to the absurd, and in turn providing catharsis. The choices you or the other fishes make don't actually matter, as whatever choice they choose, up, down, or even if never making a choice to go either way, all will end with death. There is life, and then there is death. The universe is not hostile to anybody, but is simply indifferent to the existence of life or anything else in it. And yet, so often and very naturally does everybody try to seek out purpose in their existence anyway. The two fishes arguing their beliefs akin to established institutions against new radicals. The fishes who asked you for advice for your decision, one torn between following their family or their best friend, and the other simply indecisive even with gathered data. They have choices to make, some with great difficulty. But the first fish you meet tells you of the cold, indifferent machine that cannot talk to you. The fish would go down with you in the end, saying that it is soft, no matter up or down. It is all meaningless, all ends with death that leaves no trace in that world. And yet, this fish grieves over the loss of a loved one, and tries to justify a greater meaning in their death as a sign or guidance. Another one trapped in cogs while trying to escape, with his fate lying in your fins, as you have to kill him to make your own progress. They struggle against the cruel indifference to the world. But it is not all gloom and doom, as Simathoa Exigua puts it most comically in his song. We're all just living with it, and will be buried with it, in our search for meaning. Instead, it is only laughable when our search for meaning becomes like a parasite as it grows into an obsession. These black box medications, ultra-effective combinations, comedy, grudges, desperate rational and logical attempts to make sense of a meaningless world is only absurd. But unlike nihilism, doesn't just tell you that everything is meaningless and that there is nothing more to it but to resign to your fate. The end of the game, I think, serves as a kind reminder, a human touch to round up the grand philosophy of absurdism, bringing it down to a level that most people can understand. Everybody goes through the same thing, life and death, things that happen, but we dislike hearing this because it would mean that nothing you have done matters. It is an unempathetic and nihilistic view of the world. But then it reminds you that it is because of that which makes it a USP, the unique selling point of life. Yes, there is the concept of life and existence that simply happens for everything that, well, exists, which ends up in the same few cycles of life and death and the bits in between. But there are also choices to be made and memories to be forged that are specific to you. Your essence is still there, and you get to try to make something out of it, to make the best of it, while knowing full well the meaningless nature of your existence. Like the fish in the imposing room, meaning in existence is a daunting concept that seems to ask so many hard-hitting questions of choice, and if there is any, if what you do matters, and if you could make it matter. But at the end of the day, it's only something worth considering. It's a random fish in an imposing room. If existence has no meaning and nothing matters, why kick yourself down for failing to answer an impossible question? How Fish is Made is a masterpiece that isn't talked about nearly enough, and I haven't even talked about it enough either. With certain things that I found but not really covered in depth because the game touches on so many themes and because it doesn't really relate to what I'm trying to talk about. For instance, the fish at the end when he talks about how many fishes went up and down, the colors are reversed. Could that suggest that he was lying, and perhaps when he told you that it was soft, he was maliciously deceiving you to suffer as he has? Which would suggest something about decision making and how it is affected by other people, lying. I mean, that has been a concept that came up too. Or maybe they just colored it wrong. And then the environment itself, a mesh of biology and steel, human technology, as well as the premise of the fishes being in there in the first place, sorted up and down to become chum or food. Maybe it's a commentary on industrialization and consumerism, which is also backed up by the commercial-esque sandwich ending and especially the expansion pack, which is most definitely about consumerism. Though maybe also individuality? There are just so many ways to interpret and things to be found, it's insane. I mean, I tried to summarize everything into one big overarching concept, but that doesn't mean the subgenres of what I talked about is anything less to discuss. Simply the discussion of choice and conviction itself, which I think is what is the easiest to see, already has so much to offer. Even if the stuff I said about absurdism makes zero sense to you, I think you can take that away. And the most criminal part of it all is the fact that the game is completely free. Please, I beg you, if you have the time, go give it a try yourself. The developers are also making another game which I am definitely looking forward to if this is the standard to be expected. Though it did try to dox me into it.